Hello? Hello. It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. Where the hell have I been? You're asking. Well, I took a little road trip to hell and back. I had the flu for about 2 weeks, which escalated very quickly. Before I knew it, I had what sounded like pop rocks in my lungs every time I would exhale, so I went to the doctor, they did some tests, and what do you know? I got the pneumonia. I had pneumonia for about a month, still recovering from it, but I'm feeling so much better, thank God. That was the worst experience of my adult life, I would say. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It was brutal. So you can imagine I am behind on everything. I'm behind on work, I'm behind on YouTube, I'm behind on housework, things that I had planned in the last month and a half that have been pushed aside. All that I care about is that my health is on the right track. It's kind of sad that it takes like feeling really shitty to, I don't know, appreciate little things like breathing. I'd like to take this moment to formally apologize to my health and my immune system for taking it for granted for so long. It has totally made me appreciate things like YouTube more. I wasn't able to do anything and now I want to do all of the things. So I'm happy to say that I'm back. Today I'm doing a dip powder video again. I was gonna do a fill and removal video, but I filmed that video and then when I was sitting to edit it, I realized that my fat head had entered the frame and was covering all of the work that I was doing. Like all you can see in the video is literally the back of my head because I was covering the frame because I was hovering over my workstation. So that video is gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but I have since refilmed it and my fat head is not in the frame. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from dip powder, especially until my lungs heal. I can't risk breathing in any of the dust from filing the dip powder. Even when I wear a mask, even with a new dust collector that I picked up, something with this dip powder is not agreeing with my lung situation. So in the meantime, I'm going to continue doing gel nail videos. I've been really intrigued by polygel lately and I have my eye on a kit on Amazon. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in that. Also leave me your video requests in the comments as well. It doesn't have to just be nail stuff. I am going to do some makeup videos because let me tell you, laying in bed looking like a potato for a month and a half has really made me miss wearing makeup. Right now I'm full glam and I feel so good. I also want to resume my declutter series. I want to do some clean with me videos. I'm so happy to be back. Today I will be once again using the Kiara Sky system that I used in my last video, and if you missed that one, I would highly recommend watching it before watching this one because it is packed with information. This one is as well, but that one's really detailed. I worked with the dip powder, I used tips, and I also did a little bit of nail art with some gold flakes. I absolutely love how this manicure turned out. Unfortunately, I have since removed it because since having pneumonia, I have cleaned my entire house and wiped it down, and I needed to remove my nails to make sure that I didn't have any of those germs stuck underneath my nails. Anyway, as always, I feel the need to do my regular disclaimer if you're new to this channel. Hi, I am not a professional nail tech. I'm not a professional nail anything. I'm an amateur, I'm a DIYer, I'm a professional makeup artist, but I didn't go to school for anything related to nails. Everything that I've learned how to do nail-wise has been through trial and error, watching YouTube videos and watching my lovely nail tech do my nails over the years. So before you do anything that I'm doing in my videos, maybe do some research, make sure I'm doing it correctly. Even though I know that I'm doing it correctly, you never know. I got a lot of nail techs in my comments giving me a lot of love. Shout out to you guys, thank you very much. And thank you for the feedback. If you guys have watched my nail videos for a while, you'll know that I do love your feedback and I take your tips into account and I incorporate them into my routine. I know that my disclaimers can get a little bit repetitive, but I'm never gonna stop doing them because I have a lot of people that are new to my channel who have no idea who the hell I am that need to know that I'm not a professional. And that I'm not claiming to be, by the way, and that I don't do anybody's nails except for my own. So with that being said, thank you guys very much for sitting through this long ass intro. I'm very happy to be back. Everything that I used will be listed in the description box below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and staying subscribed, and let's get into it. Alrighty, as I mentioned in my intro, filming the fill was a fail, so we're starting out with freshly trimmed natural nails. Try saying that like 5 times. I already cleaned up and trimmed the dead skin around my nails off camera to save time, and now I'm pushing back my cuticles with this plastic cuticle pusher. You should not skip this step. You at the very least have to push those bad boys back if you want to prevent future lifting. Next, I'm using a gentle nail file to buff away any natural shine on my nails, and I'm wiping them clean with some of my nail surface cleanser to remove any oil that may be lingering behind in preparation for my tips and my dip powder. Doing this step will ensure that my tips and my dip powder adhere to my nails properly, which will also prevent lifting later on. I'm once again using the tips that I picked up off of Amazon. I labeled the case myself so I can better see the size of each nail. They are in the shade Natural. They have a crescent moon shape and they have a little well where the glue goes. If you look closely, you can see that each tip is labeled by size. The smaller the number, the larger the tip. I'm now sizing my fingernails for the tips, and when doing this, it's important that you size yourself correctly and make sure that the tip perfectly fits your natural nail. You never want to size down because it can lead to air pockets between your natural nail and the artificial nail. Whenever I'm sizing, I make sure that each corner of my tip meets the sides of my natural nails perfectly. Now that I've got all of my tips picked out, it is time for glue. This is just a random one that I found at Sally's, which has been doing a pretty good job so far. I'm brushing on the glue inside the well of the tip, making sure that I also get the outer corners. And when I'm applying the tips to my natural nails, I just kind of slide the tip onto the nail slowly and then apply pressure. It is important to apply enough pressure that you remove any and all air pockets. And you don't have to apply your tips as far down as I have. I just like to do this because they feel a lot more secure that way, and I go over them with gel polish anyway. Now it's time to trim my tips. I'm using tip cutters to do this. You could use nail clippers or scissors if you'd like. In my last video, a few of you pointed out that I was holding the cutters the wrong way and that the blade should be facing away from me. So I've taken that tip, I've corrected my method. Thank you very much. I wasn't sure how much I wanted to take off today, so I trimmed a little bit at a time until I made up my mind on the length that I was going for. So now I'm moving on to shaping my nails, and to cut down on filing time, I decided to trim the sides of my tips using nail scissors first and then filing them down afterwards. It was really hard for me to get myself doing this in frame, so like the troubleshooter I am, I had to improvise with this phallic looking plastic finger that I found at Sally's. I noticed that the key to trimming nail tips is having a very sharp pair of nail scissors. So I'm just taking off a little bit from the corners of the tip at an angle, and then I'm going in with my nail file and filing from the side of the base of my nail to the tip at an angle. I would say that the shape I achieved here is 1 notch below a coffin shape, because a true coffin shape is way more narrow than what I've got here. Even using this plastic wiener to demonstrate what I'm doing was a bit difficult because it's not a real finger. All that was holding that tip onto the plastic finger was a piece of tape. Okay, so in my last video, I stressed the importance of proper ventilation and air quality when using dip powder and filing the nails. If you missed that video, I will link it in the description box, and I'll also place it in a card on the screen. I told you guys that I had ordered a dust collector off of Amazon, and it has since arrived. The one that I picked up is the Macart Professional 60-watt dust collector. It was $69.99 US, which is not cheap at all for a DIYer, but I was desperate because I react badly to nail dust and powder. This has 2 motors and 2 fans that are 5,000 RPMs. It came with this little informational pamphlet. It comes with 1 filter tray. You can use the base as is, or you can use the attachments that it comes with for more precise suction. This attachment just sits on top of the base, it doesn't screw in, and the nozzle inserts into that little hole. If you do use the nozzle, the suction is more focused and the dust is directed right into that little tube. The power outlet and the on and off switch are on the side of the base, and it comes with a 4-foot power cord. Now, I would advise you to turn down your volume because I'm about to play for you how loud this sucker is. In 3, 2, 1. I'm I'm throwing on my 3M Respirator Mask to prevent breathing in any nail dust, and I'm moving on to filing and shaping my nails further. I already achieved the basic shape that I wanted by trimming the sides of my nails with my scissors, and now I'm further filing the sides to make them a little bit more narrow so that when I apply my dip powder, they don't look too bulky, if that makes sense. I'm also filing the tops of my tips to remove any shine, and I'm smoothing out the ridge between my natural nail and the tip so that it blends seamlessly. And to do this, I'm just switching between my nail file and a buffing block. So this dust collector is quite powerful, and it does a decent job at sucking up excess dust that would normally end up all over my hands, my towel, my clothes, and potentially in my lungs. But I still feel like I need something more powerful, because even when I'm wearing my 3M mask, unless I completely clean off my station before taking it off, I will have some kind of reaction. I think it's really important to protect your lungs at all costs. At the very least, wear a mask so you're not breathing this crap in. Now I'm taking a bit of alcohol on a lint-free wipe, and I'm wiping off any excess nail dust on my nails before moving on to the dip powder. I will be using the Kiara Sky French Starter Kit again today. I'm starting with step 1, which is the bond. This ensures that all of the layers stick and stay in place. I'm applying this to my natural nails only. I'm not applying this to the tips. Step 2 is the base. This is a glue that adheres the powder to the area applied. Before I apply this, I like to have my dip powder in the shade Natural ready to go next to me so that I can move quickly between the glue and the powder. Lately, I've been putting a piece of paper underneath my work area to catch the dip powder fallout, which makes cleanup way easier later on. So when I do this, I work one nail at a time. I'm applying the base across the connecting line between my artificial tip and my natural nail to create structure, and then I'm dipping it into the natural powder at a 45-degree angle. I'm letting it sit there for a few seconds. I take it out, I tap off the excess back into the jar, and then I brush off whatever is left with a brush. If you find that your fluffy brush bristles start to accumulate little clusters of glue and dip powder on the tips, what you can do is just skip the brushing step until you're done doing the rest of your fingers. This will give the glue more time to dry before it makes contact with the brush, and you'll avoid getting those clusters in your fluffy brush. Next, I'm applying the base to 3/4 of my nail, dipping it into the natural powder at a 45-degree angle, tapping off the excess, and this time I'm not brushing off the nail right away. I let the glue and the powder sort of marinate while I do the rest of my nails. When working with dip powder, you want to gradually work your way up the nail with each powder layer so that you have an even surface between your natural nail and the tip. Doing this will leave you with a really natural looking cuticle area in the end. Like I said in my last video, I'm not a huge fan of the brush applicators in these Kiara Sky bottles. They are not, in my opinion, the best quality. So I have to be very precise and detailed when I'm applying the base so that I don't miss any spots. You don't want to oversaturate your brush with the base, but you want to have enough on the brush so that you don't have to keep dipping back and forth into the bottle just for one nail. You should have enough glue on your brush for one nail, if that makes sense. Once I've painted and dipped all of my nails, I'm now brushing off the excess as usual. For my next layer, I'm using the dark pink dip powder. This is my favorite shade of pink in the kit. I think it's so pretty. This time I'm starting my application a little bit higher while still leaving a gap between my cuticle area. Same drill as before, I apply the base, I dip, pull the finger out, tap off, brush away the excess. Onto my last layer, I'm applying the base to the whole nail while still leaving a tiny little gap between my cuticles so that it doesn't flood. Dipping into the powder, pulling it out, tapping it off, and brushing off the excess. Now I'm just dusting off the rim of my jar so that I don't waste more product than I need to, and so that I can seal the top properly. Step 3 is the seal and protect. I like to apply quite a bit of this stuff. It hardens the powder and it seals all of the layers that I've applied so that I can move on to filing and buffing. Think of this as the dip powder version of curing the nail. I normally allow the nails a few minutes to soak in all of the seal and protect, and then I take my makeup brush, I tap the nails, and I listen for a hollow sound, which indicates to me that the nails have hardened. This is a very important step because if the nails haven't hardened properly, and say you start filing, you can actually file off whole chunks of the dip powder, speaking from experience here, so make sure to give the nails enough time to harden properly. Moving on to filing and buffing my nails, this is when the dust collector really came in handy because I go to town when I'm filing my nails following the dip application, and I'm usually covered in dust by the end of it. I'm first using a hand file to shape the sides and the tips of my nails, and then I'm adding a couple E-files and a buffing block to the mix. If you watched my last dip powder video, you would have seen me introduce and give my thoughts on the Kiss E-file, so I won't go over it today, but I did want to share another E-file with you that I picked up off of Amazon. And by the way, I don't share these with you guys because I think you need all of them. I just like to give you different options and tell you which ones are good and which ones suck so that you don't have to waste your money the same way that I have. So this here is the MP62 Electric Professional Manicure Pedicure Set from Bureau. It was $58 and had some pretty good reviews, so I thought, why not give it a whirl? It comes in a little case with informational pamphlets, 10 extra sanding bands, and unlike the Kiss one, this one is not cordless. It has to be plugged in, which is kind of a bummer because the cord isn't very long and it's coiled. It also comes with a little clear plastic protective cover. This is meant to stop the nail dust from blowing into your face while filing, which is nice, but because it also has an LED light built into the tip, it's sometimes hard to see what you're doing through the plastic cover, so I don't really use it much. It comes with 10 attachments, which are made of sapphire and felt, and of those attachments, I'd say that I use these small 4 ones the most, especially when it comes to grooming my cuticles, and from the bigger attachments, I use these 2 the most. So my major gripe with this E-file is that it is wobbly, which is a shame, because this sucker can file up to 5,400 RPMs. Because the tips don't lock into place and are basically only held in by friction or magnetization, it is really hard to do detail work with this file because it's so wobbly. I don't know if this is picking up on camera. You can see if you look really closely that it is wobbly, which makes me not want to recommend this E-file to you because this shit ain't cheap. For $58, you don't want a wobbly E-file. You could injure yourself, and again, I'm speaking from experience. Anyway, I already bought the damn thing, so I'm going to begrudgingly use it. Even though the wobbliness does annoy me, the sanding band alone has cut my filing time in half because of the grit and the speed, so I can only imagine what it's like to use a steady, good quality E-file. And now, the grand reveal. Check out how much dust was collected in this frickin' filter. All of that pink debris is dust that would have normally ended up all over and inside of me.
That's what she said.
Once my nails are filed and shaped, I take a bit of alcohol on a lint-free wipe and I wipe off all of the dust, and then I go over them with Seal and Protect one more time. Now I'm moving on to gel polish, and before applying gel polish over a dip powder set, you have to rough up the surface of the nail so that the gel polish adheres to the nail properly. If the surface is too smooth, the gel polish will peel right off within days. So I'm gently roughing up the surface of my nails with my hand file, and then I'm wiping the dust off with a lint-free wipe and a little bit of alcohol. As usual, I'm starting out with my Gelish Foundation. This is a base layer that acts as a sticky adhesive bond between my nail and the gel polish applied over top. Once my foundation is on, I'm curing it in my Gelish mini LED lamp for 45 seconds. Some of you asked me in my previous video why I use gel polish and not just the top coat that comes in the dip powder kit. The reason is because the top coat that comes in the kit will never be as shiny as a gel polish. Because the powders in this kit are fairly sheer, I like to apply gel polish over top of them to further diffuse the demarcation line between my natural nail and the artificial tip I'm wearing. Because Because my tips are in the shade Natural and not clear, you can see a difference between them and my natural nail. If I was using an opaque dip powder, I would only use the gel top coat and nothing else. So I hope that answers your question. Next, I'm applying 2 coats of OPI gel polish in Love is in the Bear, and I'm curing each coat for 45 seconds. This is one of my favorite shades. It is a sheer, milky, cool toned light pink. I just absolutely love it. I think it looks so good over this dip powder shade. And now, onto some nail art. If you follow me on the gram and you watch my stories, you would have seen that I found some nail art goodies at Michael's recently. I picked up a 3-piece embossing stylus set and a variety pack of multicolored leaf flakes. These flakes are all gorgeous, but I'm gonna pick out a couple pieces of the gold. These embossing tools are great for picking up gold leaf. This is the part where you just kind of want to go for it and get creative. The surface of my nails have a sticky residue on them right now from the gel polish that I just cured, which makes for the perfect adhesive for these gold flakes. So I just pick up little chunks with my tool and slowly start placing them on my nails. If the flake is too big, I'll pull it apart and scatter it around until I'm happy with the placement. I find this process really relaxing and therapeutic. I love how the placement of the flakes on each nail is unique from the next. And once I've got my gold flakes where I want them, I'm curing my nails for 45 seconds. I don't think this step is necessary since I'll be going over everything with top coat anyway, but I just thought that maybe it would make them adhere better before top coat. To this day, I have no idea if that's what it did. I'm using the Gelish top coat and I'm applying an even, thin layer to each nail as well as capping the free edges. And I'm being very gentle in the application over top of and around the gold flakes so that I don't disrupt their placement. I'm curing this coat for 45 seconds and then I'm taking a bit of my nail surface cleanser and I'm wiping off the sticky top layer of my nails with a lint-free nail wipe. When working with gold flakes, in my experience, even after top coat, I can kind of feel the flakes when I rub my fingers across the nail. It's almost like they're raised and I don't like that. So what I like to do is take a buffing block and I gently buff off the raised bits. And because I applied that protective first layer of top coat, this does not remove or damage any of the gold flakes that I've already set down. It just kind of smooths out the raised parts, if that makes sense. When I'm done buffing, I wipe the nails off one more time before applying my second and final top coat. And as soon as that brush hits the nail, the flakes are brought back to life. I'm curing that for 45 seconds again. I'm wiping away that sticky residue with a lint-free wipe and my nail surface cleanser. And then I'm giving the sides of my nails a quick file. Then I'm rehydrating my cuticles with the Kiara Sky cuticle oil. I always get asked in the comments how long these nails last. My manicures last me about 3.5 weeks. I can stretch it to 4 weeks if I'm really careful, but I'd say 3 to 3.5 weeks. Alrighty, that wraps up this video. I really like how these turned out and I wish my manicure looked like this right now. Nail videos are the most time consuming to create, but I find them so creatively fulfilling, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Everything that I used will be listed in the description box below. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and staying subscribed, and I'll see you in my next one. Okay, love you, bye!